Big Bad Toy Store is the home of the monsters, so check out all of the kaiju goodness at the link in the description.
Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello there, collectors. It's going to be Steven here, and welcome to another SH Monster Arts review, where today we are going to be taking a look at what could be a beautiful tragedy of the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 2000 proper. Not 1999, 2000. This isn't going to be from Godzilla 2000 Millennium. This is going to be from the 2000 movie Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, which we do have the Megaguirus Evolution set, which in international territories just had the pre-order closed, but if you're in the US, you can get your order in still, as long as they have them, including at Big Bad Toy Store, who did help out with this video today by sending over Godzilla 2000 for me to take a look at for you. Now, I did hint that this is a beautiful tragedy of a Monster Arts figure because there are a few things that this one did not nail, did not get right. However, is my bias completely going to sway me away from anything, considering this is my favorite Godzilla design? Let's take a look to see whether or not Godzilla 2000 is going to be worth adding into your collection, and we're going to learn a little bit something here today, folks. There is objectivity, the fact, if you will, and then there's subjectivity. Now, when we get to the objective nature of this figure, is it accurate? No. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, because it's not. There are plenty of side-by-side comparisons, including from those who make custom parts, third-party parts, where they've gone back and they've redone the head themselves, and they've made it look very much more so accurate to the suit. When it comes to the proportions, when it comes to the different specific details on the figure, of course, I don't think any reasonable person would expect one-to-one. This is where we're getting into the subjective matter of it, like, oh, hey, you know, am I okay with it? Am I not? But when we do a comparison, there are quite a few things that if you look at it, you're going to go, yeah, that definitely isn't right. And it's not a matter of, okay, well, it's so small that they couldn't fit it in. It's a matter of too much of a neck bulge or not enough. It's a matter of the ears being the wrong shape compared to the suit. Now, that is something for those who do want accuracy. When it comes to the eyes as well, that is going to be an issue that many have had, where the eyes do, quite frankly, look a little bit googly, and the figure's looking in pretty much any direction that you can think of. Okay, so those are going to be the big things about this figure. On the subjective side of things, yes, the eyes can definitely be an issue, but they're not necessarily on all units, and the sculpted details are pretty good, even if it's not 100% accurate. I mean, you know what it looks like. So I'm going to have to put that back in your court for whether or not this figure is going to be scoring any points there. We're just calling it as we see it here. That's the name of the game. What I will say again is that the sculpt does look great considering Yuji Sakai sculpted. We know that he is a master when it comes to details and making monsters look good. Though Shinichi Wakasa, who did do Megaguirus, was not involved in this one in particular, which definitely makes your brain itch. Regardless, when we take a look at this figure, we see the nice reddish, purplish dorsal plates, which I think would be much better with a bit of a metallic coating to them, but I digress. They look fantastic, and the scales, the scutes, the fission marks and scars all look fantastic. So I do struggle here in this part where, yeah, there's a lot to really talk about that's small, but does add up. Death by 1,000 cuts. But man, does this figure, when it does, look good? Oh, it looks really good. Now, here's going to be the thing about this one. There's going to be not a single accessory, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a second. So the bulk of this review here now is definitely going to be about the articulation for this one. And man, once again, death by 1,000 cuts. Why is that? Well, if you really want to get down to it, that looks kind of goofy, don't you think? That it's like a Five Nights at Freddy Godzilla going on here, right? That's very weird, because in looking to push the envelope, which is fine, Tamashii Nations did incorporate some new-ish design choices for the joints, as well as some rather old ones, which they've moved away from in other lines. Now, do keep in mind, the SH Monster Arts line is based off of the SH Figuarts line, which they do strive for a lot of range of movement and engineering choices, as well as getting at least as accurate as they can, where they can with their source materials from. Now, for Godzilla here, let's just kind of go over everything as simple as we can. We already know about the jaw and how the jaws work in this line. You can definitely get Godzilla to be a little bit slack-jawed here, right? That's definitely what that looks like. But then again, you can just use the ball joint and reposition the jaw for no issue. So, yep, it moves. Tongue, you know, it's kind of back and forth here. We can get it to like move up a bit. I don't know if mine is stuck. I can't get it out, but c'est la vie. The neck system is very weird because I'm not going to pop it apart because it's a pain. But basically with the neck system, what we're looking at here is going to be this whole portion of the head, which is one, is in a double ball joint connector here that also has a hinge that allows you to move the head around and push in and out and up and down. Then we do have some more ball joints going on down in here that allows for a push-pull system, which this looks like, from what I can see, like old school SH Figuarts in the Dragon Ball lineup. So we do get some pushing and pulling here, which is possible. And then this dorsal plate, which did fall off on mine, it's supposed to be able to move around, but it's not really looking to move around too well right now on mine. It kind of feels like it's going to break. But what the intention here is to help stop the gaps on the figure. But the problem is that when you do that, we got other thingamajigs going on here. So this is a very awkward area, which did not translate over from the actual design of the suit into the figure. But regardless, we can use those points of articulation to get Godzilla to look in all sorts of different directions: up, down, left, right, side to side, and so forth. The shoulders, Tamashii Nations is looking to basically keep pushing the envelope when it comes to the articulation in the shoulders, it seems, whereas now we do have a hinge on the inside that really gets you that butterfly joint movement there, right? That's pretty cool. So the hinge is going to be seated right here at the chest, and then it's going to connect to a ball joint. So we can move the arms in and out like so. You may remember on the original Godzilla 2000 Millennium, it had a similar sort of thing going on where it would kind of just get stuck here sometimes. So keep that in mind. We do have a system of ball joints here, so we're going to have a ball joint again where the shoulder plugs into that hinge. Then we're going to have a ball joint here for the bicep, so we can move and we can get a couple of different angles on it. So if you need that little bit of micro adjustment, you can have that, but do keep in mind, yeah, I don't know. Now we do have elbow hinges where there are going to be ball joints as well, so you can twist and you can turn the arms. But here's going to be where we have another push-pull system. So that doesn't include the butterfly hinge there. We can get the arms to push and pull in and out, which is very awkward. I guess it's to kind of just help with the movement, but I guess it works. I don't know. I think realistically it's just the hinges working a bit differently, as you can see there, but I don't know. This thing's kind of odd, as you can see. For the wrists, we do have a ball joint system going on here. Naturally, it works so this way you can pop them off if something should be awry, if you need to tighten them. So you've got that. You may remember, with Final Wars or 1972, there was a little piece of sculpt here that was sort of like the connective piece between the hand and the forearm for the wrist, but that is absent here. Now we're going to go with the torso articulation, and there is going to be a ball joint here and a ball joint there. Here a ball joint, there a ball joint, everywhere a ball joint. In the middle section here, in this cross, I'll show you a picture of it. There is going to be a hinge. This hinge, as I've pictured it, is not the way I have it suited on my Godzilla right now. But I'm showing you so this way you know what it looks like. I'm also showing you the reason why I don't have it situated that way. If we're taking a look at Godzilla, its left side, there is that bar on the hinge that just seemingly, for whatever reason, likes to collide into the sculpt that we have there. And that's not really great. So what I did is I actually turned mine around, and I actually get a little bit better range of movement. So if you really want to extend Godzilla up like that, that is a sight to behold. Anyway, up like that, down like that, up like that. Here's about as much movement forward as I can get with the joint situated like that. Here's as much movement back. I really prefer the back movement instead of the forward because when you combine the neck articulation, that is a pretty good range of movement right there. I don't know what Godzilla's staring at, but oh boy, can he do that. Now, of course, we can get a full twist and turn from side to side like that if you want. Rocking back and forth, even though I made that change where I switched that hinge around, just rocking, it's still a bit difficult on this left-hand side for Godzilla. So, c'est la vie. Hips, they suck. Why? They are using a very outdated push-pull drop-down system, which Tamashii Nations basically phased out of the SH Figuarts lineup. There are a few here and there that still use it, but the reason why this sucks, and I'm going to say it that way, is there is basically going to be a peg that runs through Godzilla's crotch. Giggity. Then we're going to have one disc that operates the left-hand side and one disc that operates the right-hand side, which seems to be good because you can push, pull, get a little bit more range of movement out of there. If the disc cracks for the hinge, the figure is done. I had an SHF Ash Ketchum, rest in peace, boo-boo, where everything's tight, and then one day it cracked and now his leg's all loosey-goosey, floppy taco. Not good. We don't want that. Rudy wants that, but I don't want that. You don't want that. So keep that in mind. Don't go ham-handing it and doing this all the time where you're going to eventually hear a crack and then that's going to be it. Just be gentle. Now that's the inner workings here, but they plug into the hips, the thigh section right there on a ball joint. You can see that. So classic goodness here. We do have a nice little sleeve to block the gaps, but dropping down the hip, we can definitely spin the leg almost all the way around safely, which is good. We do have a little bit of grinding right here going on, so don't do that. But kicking out to the side is definitely something this figure can do. Now for the ankles, they're down here. Really nice movement. Almost getting the toe to point down. But, any sort of ankle rocking movement you want, this figure can do. But you're basically going to get But basically what you're looking at, if you want the figure to get like a little bit better range of movement out of the ankles there, you're going to need to rely on the knees, which we do have a hinge there. You can hear it squeaking. Right? And it does have ball joint connectivity as well. What's really cool here is to sort of help everything along is we do have this little flap to help block the gaps. It's almost like they know that some folks don't like the gaps, but they don't do everything they need to fix this. Now, I have not disassembled this. What I am going to say is this gives me SH MonsterArts Iris flashbacks where there was something similar on that figure. I'm going to suggest you not pop this off because with Iris, it was a pain. Check out my review for that one. I wish Iris was so much better, but I digress. The tail of Godzilla here. We do have some pretty rock solid articulation. Everything is mostly stable here. I'm not really worried about, stuff popping off or flopping off in any way. Okay, we're getting a good idea of what STR's light setup looks like, but woo! Stable. Oh, there we go. I just popped the tip off. There we go. So considering that's what I had to do in order to get something to happen, that is, I think, a pretty good test there. I'll figure out the tails, getting that pop back on a little bit. So when you really stress it, that's where you get the negative effects. So, articulation. This figure is really good. I think that a lot of folks are going to be really happy with this. The only thing is that it looks gangly when you're using some of the new gimmicks. It's very clear that Tamashii Nations from other departments, they do have their hands very well on the beat, if you will, of articulation and getting things up to snuff with engineering. Look at the Ultraman Kaiju in the Figuarts lineup. They're great. For Godzilla, we're still kind of pushing the envelope, and we don't quite know where we want to land yet, it seems. Accessories, nada, nothing. Extra tail tip for me would be great. I know I'm looking at it down there, but there's nothing. So this is one of those weird situations where I'm not even saying give us a beam, maybe like a black hole portal generator, or even give us some of the Mega Gearus offspring. They have hidden accessories up until later in the in Tamashii Nation's history before. They have done that in other lines. They could have also done just other random accessories that could have accompanied this character rather well. It doesn't necessarily have to be the beam, because we can assume, we at least hope, that they're going to do some sort of heat ray version, or even with the new Godzilla Fest promo, they're probably going to reuse this for a burning variant at some point in the future. I digress. No accessories for the price tag. Size comparison time, and here you go. This is actually a bit beefy compared to some of the other MonsterArts figures that are in the same size area. So if we're talking like you want to display this with other Godzillas, well, guess what? This one is actually going to be closer to the size of a Haya Toys Exquisite Basic Godzilla. And you're going to see that when we get there in the size comparison. And I even did a little bit of a different shot so this way you can really see what I mean. So if you want the 6-inch scale, yes, this figure does fit, but it's definitely going to stick out compared to some of the other MonsterArts Kaiju. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. We're going to have to do this in 2 parts because this is the exemplar. This is the epitome of how you can look at something for a review. There are things that you should know, things that are constant, and then there is the opinion and whether or not somebody likes what we have. So what we do have here is an inaccurate with some paint issues Godzilla 2000 design. And Shinichi Wakasa did not sculpt this, but Yuji Sakai did. Why the former did not sculpt it, but the latter we'll never know, despite the fact that the former, Wakasa, did actually participate in the Megaguirus release that is soon to come out. The articulation, the joints are plentiful, along with lots of range of movement, and there are no accessories. Now, when it comes to how I feel about it, yes, it is not accurate, and we do have issues with some units having googly eyes, but I still like what we got because the sculpt design is good. Like it's hard to say that this is not a good, well sculpted figure. And the paint apps otherwise, I think, are rather solid. Honestly, for the articulation, yeah, there's a whole lot here going on, but we do have a couple of joints that I think could be spared if that meant a cheaper price, or we got accessories. Like, I don't need all those micro adjustments in the arms. You get one good, and I don't think that I'm going to decide that in the middle of my bicep to jut it out a little bit farther along. And for the accessories, I mean, I'm beating a dead horse here. I mean, we're past the Elmer's glue stage. Come on. It doesn't even have to be a beam. It can be something else that they could have included. Overall, though, what I would have to say is for the price point, between $120 and $130, I don't quite think we're there if you're thinking, well, I want to pick up a Godzilla. I think this would be good for those who are a fan of the suit, the design, the era, and they want to get this. That being said, if you are a Godzilla 2000 stan, if you rock with us kings, then good, because it is a good figure at the end of the day, despite some of the drawbacks that it has. I know for me, I have my favorite Gamera design and my favorite Godzilla design in the same lineup in roughly the same scale, the same aesthetics, and the works. I'm a happy camper.